Hey there YouTube, Travis here. So tonight I'm working on this 1997 Tomos Targa LX top tank, and I thought I'd shoot this video regarding a very popular modification for Tomos mopeds, but not something that's been documented all that well through video yet, and that is disabling the stock oil injection system. Now, I'm not someone to hate injection systems, and in fact, this is almost like discussing religion with moped people, whether or not to leave it, especially on a Tomos. I'm choosing to leave the system on my 1986 Honda Spree, as well as my Honda MB5, but in this case, I'm choosing to remove it, and let me explain why. Now, if your bike is 100% stock, you regularly inspect the components of your oil injection system, and you keep it topped off all the time, then you're probably going to be okay leaving it. But there's a few reasons, and a lot of these are applicable to me, as to why I'll be removing this system. Let's go through them. Okay, so this bike's been sitting for a long time. My best estimate's around 10 years. Let me go ahead and get this screen off right here. So this oil looks a little weird. It's almost like motor oil, how it's completely clear like this. I haven't seen any two-stroke oil that looks like this. I'm not even sure if it is two-stroke oil. This oil is really gummy and weird. I can only imagine what the other components of the system are. Yes, I could go through it, bleed it out, and put new stuff in it, but I just don't feel like doing that. In addition, this neck is cracked right here. I'm just not really that interested in saving this system. But more importantly, and I mean more importantly, this is the stock cylinder right here, as you can tell, but it's going to be getting a 70cc kit. The more performance parts you add to a bike, the harder that stock injector is going to have to work, and I just am not sold that it can keep up with a larger kit. So that kit's going to be coming on here in a few months, but since I'm trying to get the bike running right now stock, we're just going to disable that oil injection and run premix. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so grab yourself a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to go ahead and get these side covers off. Then this panel, just kind of, you got to lift up first. We'll pop off like that. See, it's got these two tabs on the inside that go here when you go to reinstall it later. And of course, same thing on the right side. And off she comes. Okay, so next step, we're going to bleed all the old oil out of the tank. If you want to be crude, you could just cut the line, but let me just show you guys how this is done. Next, we're going to remove this Phillips head screw right here. This is the pump cover. It's a long screw, but it doesn't thread in that long. Now, you gotta get this pump cover off, and I would just get something small. You can kind of just pry in this a little bit. Yours will probably be held on there a little bit stronger. I've had this off once before, but this is pretty much it. There's this little rubber part right here that goes into, there's a groove, and that goes back on. This is your oil pump. This little guy is all it is. And as you can see, one line goes in from the tank. There's a little, I think it's called a worm gear on there. And there's this thing which sits in the flywheel nut. I'll show you in a second. And that gets spun around and driven, and your oil comes up this tube and goes up and meets up at the intake. And you've got a bleeder screw right here, and I've got just a cup down here to catch the old oil. And we'll go ahead and loosen this up and get this oil out. Would like to mention it does come out at kind of a drip this way, so something else other people do, they just cut the line, and for the sake of time in this video I may end up doing that, especially because I'm not reusing any of these components. And I went ahead and just pulled the hose up through the top here so that it's kind of just hanging out and draining down here, so we can work on this stuff over here. And now we can pull the pump itself off. We've got two Phillips head screws. Might have some more luck with this. Let's try. And then same thing with the one below it. And there is your oil pump. Pretty simple. Looks like this on the back side, and again, as you can almost kind of see through here, there's the flywheel nut, and it's got this little guy that hangs on it there, and this fits in here, and this goes in the flywheel like that. Okay, so with the Tomos oil injection system, it injects it right in the intake, and I'll try and get it zoomed in here the best I can without it getting too blurry, but there's the oil line right there that goes in, and there is a banjo fitting. So this is an 11mm end on this banjo fitting here. Okay, and there it is. There is your oil pump. And it looks like most of the oil has drained out, so let's go ahead and get that tank out of there. And this tank just has 2 Phillips head screws. 1, 2. You know what, actually, you might want to put these screws back in that we're holding the tank on just because they keep this from wobbling around so much. Okay, so now we need to plug up that hole on the intake. 2 ways you can do it. One way would be to get a shorter bolt and put that in there and then put some stuff on it. Now I use red RTV all the time. But I would not necessarily use that for this application. If I were to go that route, I would pick up something like Moto Seal, or maybe Honda Bond or Yama Bond, or Permatex Tack and Seal. Both of these are available at auto parts stores. Actually, you're probably more likely to find this one. I had to order this, Moto Seal. But anyway, make sure it resists oil and gas, because that is what's going to be flowing through the intake. Get that in a washer and you can seal it up that way. What I'm actually going to do is take this here. This is the original bolt with the washer still on it. I'm going to reinstall it, and then I'm going to pull the oil line off, and I'm going to put a vacuum cap over it. I went out to my auto parts store. I went to Advance Auto, and they had this nice assortment box here, all different sizes. It was like $2.49. Okay, I got a pair of channel locks here. And there we go, off she comes. Cool. I had that in there by the top of the bolt there so it wouldn't damage the threads or anything. And so I guess there's a couple different ways to do this. If you left the line on there, you could just stick this 3/16 cap over the line. That might do it. Or what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this 5/16 cap right here, put this over the whole thing. There we go. It's got a nice snug fit on it right there, and let's go ahead and reinstall this. Okay, that's done. Okay, and just a couple quick loose ends. I'm going to put a piece of furnace tape over this just to keep any water from getting in the flywheel if it happens to make its way past the other cover. So earlier in the video I had this goofy idea where I want to leave this rubber grommet in place and then maybe leave the hoses in there and block off one of the ends. That's why I wasn't too excited about cutting them down here. So that way when this goes on, that creates kind of a rubber seal to kind of keep water out there. But I'm kind of reconsidering it. I might just cut this, get the hoses out, and then put RTV over this and let that seal it up that way. I'm not sure yet. For now, I'm going to leave those hoses in. I'm going to cut the pump off and then block off the hoses up top, and we'll see what that looks like. And like I said, I'll do an RTV job over that eventually, but I just got these plugged off for now. Okay, and so as one final reminder, you need to get every last drop of regular unmixed gas out of your tank. Try it on reserve, regular, tilt it, shake it, get all the regular gas out. I would also take your carb off the intake with this screw right here, and then you've got 2 screws on the bottom of the bowl. Make sure you get all of the gas out of your carburetor bowl, and while you're down there, take a peek through the main jet, see if it's clogged up, all that other fun carburetor stuff. Also, congratulations, you now have all this under-seat storage you can put all sorts of stuff in. Okay there, YouTube. Well, till next time.